Hello, coaches, and welcome to this edition of Give and Go Live. My name's David Newbury, and I'm joined by my colleague, Ian Barker. Hello, Ian.
Hello, David. A pleasure to be here on Give and Go Live.
So, Ian, this is the third in a series looking at possession and awareness. And as we'll see, this is now going into an 8 versus 8 game with 4 peripheral players that act as full-time offensive players. And it is the final stage of an activity that has been built up over 2 previous activities. So it's important to know, as we'll go through, some of the methodology and some of the coaching tips that have been shared by Willie and yourself. We are following a new format. We go through the basic setup, we'll discuss some of the methodology, and then we'll see a coaching video from the 2018 convention, and then finally finish with a global coach animation of the activity. And the setup is 8 versus 8 in an area that's approximately 30 yards by 20 yards, wider than it is long, although you can certainly change the dimensions to better reflect your age group that you're working with. The team in possession always starts from the end line, so there's balls placed on both ends of the field, and there are 4 peripheral players in yellow that play for all-time offense. So it's 8v8 inside and 4 players for the offensive team on the outside, and the objective, of course, is to try and score the red team in those nets and then the blue team in these. So there is direction to this activity. Let's go, Ian, to the methodology slide and talk about some of the things that you would like to see as a coach.
Yeah, so we definitely are focusing on the 2 teams of 8 in the center of the grid and how they can take advantage of numerical overloads and dominate areas of the field, and we'll see that in some subsequent slides. What we're looking at, though, is let's be aware that the 4 players on the periphery represent an all-time offense. So we're actually dealing with an 8v12. The natural width of the 2 neutral flank players, and then for the red team in this case, a deep support player that could actually replicate what a goalkeeper does in the game, and then this target player that you can potentially play through. When I like to use these types of games, I will often suggest that the team in possession, in this case the red team, before they go to goal, they must indeed hit the target, or they must indeed hit one of the wide players. So that could be an interesting addition here. So they're actually thinking about using that numerical advantage. But these are really fun, game realistic types of activities, and they give that little bit of advantage to the possession team, so you can see the success of your team, in this case, in the dominance of possession.
Now, second sequence, it just follows on from the first sequence. So if you remember, in the first sequence, we went up, we went back, and then we went wide. And here, now we see, represented by this red box, how the red team has created dominance of players around the ball, including the wide player in yellow. And we have 5 versus 2 or 5 versus 3 around the ball, and as a result, the opportunity for the red team to score. Ian, what do you see here?
Well, again, if people have seen Willie's the previous Give and Go lives, which had Willie presenting, what we've got here is this box that David has put in for us is obviously not visible when the kids are playing. But what you've got is you've got these 4 red players who've got in close support to each other to really overload the 2 blue defenders. So we've worked on this in the warm-up activities, getting close support to the person in possession, and then taking advantage of that close support. If I was looking for references in the elite modern game, this is the type of style that we associate maybe with Barcelona, certainly now with maybe Manchester City, and I would suggest in the MLS, maybe Atlanta United. So it's getting a lot of players in possession around the ball, also having players away from the ball, so we can spray the ball and switch the point of attack, but this overload in areas to dominate possession.
So very nice segue for us to overload one side and then create the opportunity to break out on the other. Having scored the goal, the red team now make it and take it. They get the possession back. A player sprints to collect the ball and then restarts quickly. And again, we see that the red team, having played a longer pass this time to a peripheral player, are getting players around the ball in support to create that overload again. Ian.
Yeah, so What I like here is this notion of the up-back rhythm. So we've gone up to come back to have this nice big switch of attack. And so what we're showing now is in this second slide, relative to the previous one, we're demonstrating how we can dominate possession. Let's say this is indeed our box here of close possession, close support, 3 red players, possibly the neutral player. So we've got there, we've done our job, but now we're aware of this opportunity to be expansive. And so we want our players all the time to see the close options, but also be aware that we can really hurt the opponent when we go from close and then expand the field of play and stretch them.
So Ian, interesting here, and this is, of course, we're not always going to have 4 players dominating around the ball, and here we do see that the blue team, in fact, have got players, one could say, in the defensive dominance. So we have to remember that when that happens and the visual cue suggests that we are in the inferior, a switch of play and a longer pass is often the best option.
Absolutely. So what have we done here in this box of possession and dominance? We've drawn more blue players in. So sometimes we maintain possession in the small space to relocate the opponents to bring them in. And as we see here now, this poor blue player is very exposed. So the idea of close support, close possession is based on the notion of shifting defenders. Once we've shifted the defenders, then we can shift the ball in a corresponding or contradictory way and find our opening.
So Ian, now we're going to look at a clinic video that includes Willie coaching the progressions of this activity, and this is from the 2018 convention. Coaches, enjoy it, listen in very carefully, there's audio to this, and listen to what Willie has to say both to the players and to the coaches in attendance.
Just want to paint the picture for the players. The guys on the outside, you can move between goal and goal. All the way down that side, same there and same there. Yellows, score in there, defend these 2. Orange, defend, score. If you score a goal, run back and you get to start with it. If the ball goes out, pick up a ball and we play. Okay, ready? Let's go. Good. Excellent. Stay away from pressure. Get in cozy. Come on, do it quick. Can we go finish? Last 30 seconds. Whoa, stop there. Excellent. Now, 4 players on the outside who can move and be that numerical superiority for us. So what I'm really looking for the players inside is can they glean the information from the passing, from the rondo, and take it into a game situation. I thought both teams were very good. I thought yellows, you were really patient. You dominated the ball. You probably should have scored from there. I'll let you away with it. Are you a goalkeeper? No, I'm not letting you away with it. You managed to come out here and you managed to score. Excellent stuff. So again, for the coaches in attendance, even pick one player and just follow them for the next minute. How many times do they check their shoulder? So guys, there's somebody in the crowd watching you just now. And that goes for you guys on the outside. We'll play for 1 more minute and then we'll have a little chat. Take a ball because you scored. 1-0 yellows. Play. So coaches pick a player. Yeah, good and cozy. Good. Finish. Yes, get a ball. One. This one or this one. Oranges, set up. Let's go. And freeze. Good. Guys, do me a favour. And Cozy, take that ball back for me. Everyone, rewind back. Rewind back. Stay with you guys. One thing, guys, you don't always have to play short, sharp passes. See if you're under real pressure and you can play over the press, absolutely. So maybe, can I take your place? So if you come towards the ball, Cole, and you give the ball back to me, there's absolutely no harm in me just popping the ball over the press to dominate the next box. But then do me a favour, guys. Don't all stare at the ball. Be clever. Drop off. Ready? Oranges, play. Away from pressure.
Ian, another great video by Willie. What kind of notes did you make as you went through that?
Yeah, so, you know, my thought is that this right here, this looks like a game. We don't have goalkeepers, but it's two teams with some neutral players and goals. So it looks like a game. The coach is out of the training environment, observing. Now, obviously, in the case of the video, Willie was doing a clinic, so he had to stop it a little bit more for the benefit of the audience. But he was generally letting the kids play. So the final part of our training session should be some relatively free play, but remembering the theme of the training session. And what was his theme? Taking advantage of the numerical situation, which he talked about. I like the word he used, patience. He talked about the team in possession demonstrating patience because, again, they had a numerical advantage. And then one of the takeaways, which I think is shown quite clearly in this little diagram, is he talked about, you know, keep the ball close, and then be prepared to play away from the press. I think he said the term over the press, and I thought that was an excellent point, and it's one that you and I covered before we saw the video too. So we all seem to be on the same page, which is great.
So Ian, let's now look at the final video content. It's from Global Coach. It's an animation, and this shows essentially the entire sequence. And Ian, it seems key that in this activity, using the peripheral players, either high players, deep players, or wide players, seems so crucial to the success of any team in this activity.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys represent the biggest you can get on the field in terms of stretching it. And obviously, ultimately, we want to take away the neutrals and let everybody play numbers up and then find the width, the length, and the depth as a natural consequence of the game. There was one little thing in the animation I would just point out to people if they didn't pick up on it. You'll see where we've got a supply of balls. And the condition that Willie had was, should the, in this case, red team score, they had make it, take it. So the ball would restart from here. So the make it, take it option allows you for potentially one team to just continually sustain attacks and goal scoring. And I quite like the make it, take it. And the animation shows it very clearly. So when people refresh over the animation, look for that make it, take it feature.
Well, thanks very much, Ian, and thank you, Willie McNab. That is the end of the third activity in the sequence, and we enjoyed that very much, Ian, and we will now pick out some more for the next edition of Give and Go Live.